Hi, I'm Lisa. Welcome to my glass studio. Today I'd like to show you how to make a fun little hibiscus flower with a stencil. Now hibiscus flowers represent a lot of detail, and if you want to make one that's really pretty, that has, has that nice tropical look to it, you probably don't want to skimp on that detail. But there's a lot of pieces to cut. So what we're going to do instead is use a stencil to create our design. This is just a piece of poster material, or in this case it's file folder material. And what I did was I drew out a little hibiscus flower on a piece of yellow paper, on a notebook paper. I glued the paper to the file folder material because it's nice and stiff, and this paper is not stiff. Then I take a really sharp X-Acto knife and I cut out my design on the pencil line. I cut through the paper and through the stiff material at the same time. And then I've got this terrific little stencil. Now if you treat this carefully and you put it in a folder and you store it in a file cabinet or somewhere where it doesn't get bumped or bent, you can use this over and over and over again. I've been using this same one for about 10 years at least, for sure. So maybe it's a little bit of effort to make that design. Hold it this way. But if you make the design and you treat it carefully, and it's a design that you love, and I live in Florida, so hibiscus flowers, we can put that on everything. Matter of fact, I can make a tattoo of that on my arm.
Tattoo?
A tattoo. Sorry, that just came out funny. Anyway, I'll take my tattoo, put it on my arm. But instead, I'm going to use this to create a flower on a little project here. So I have a let's see what this is. This is a 6-inch square right here. All right, we got that. And okay, so let me level with you. It's like 95 degrees out here, and we don't have the fans on usually because it makes it more difficult for you to hear the video. So we're roasting. But we're here anyway. You know why we're here? Because you guys like, follow, subscribe, and comment. That's why. And you share.
And we like making art.
And we like making art. And when you share, we share with you. There you go. All right, 6x6 square. And Nikki picked out this pretty soft green as a background. So if you have a square and you want some extra color, a border, but you don't want to cut a border because a skinny border is hard to cut, what you do is you cut that base glass like an 1/8 inch bigger on all sides and let that glass stick out. By just having an 1/8 inch pop out, it doesn't shrink when you full fuse. It doesn't shrink, it doesn't grow. You retain your size and shape, and you have a pretty border with, you're creating a second layer, which we like to do that because it makes our project fire better and come out better. And you have that pretty little border, which makes it look like, oh, you did all that extra detail. But you didn't, you just cut it a little bit bigger. So this is 6. So we want to cut the green 6.5 by 6.5. So in order to get it nice and accurate, I'm using this Morton system here. So I'm lining this up till the edge is on 6.5. That's what we want. All right, let's see if we lay this on here. Yeah, that would give us a little 1/4 inch border all the way around. So do we want that, or do we want 6 3/8? I think we want 6 3/8. That's what we're gonna do. So put that right there, line that up with the line right there. And we'll cut this. Okay. Go 6 3/8 this direction. And now we have a nice square, a green square, and a white square, and this is how we're going to assemble our project, laying one on top of the other. Look at that beautiful little border that we created. So this is about a little bigger than 1/8 of an inch in width right there. All right, now in order to work with the stencil, we need a sifter, spoon, the stencil on stiff paper, dust mask, some powder, frit. I have plum opal, which is kind of a deep purple, cherry blossom opal, which is sort of a soft pink, orange, white, opal, opal, oh gosh, I can't even say it. Orange, opal, white combination here. Okay, but powder is your go-to for this because the thicker frit will not go through the sifter. All right, now I'm going to move this over a little bit, and I'll place a piece of paper down and work on the paper because that makes the cleanup a whole lot easier. So if I do the stenciling and I don't like it, I can dump it on the paper, put it back in the jar, and redo it at any time. Unless I have more than one color on there, then no. All right, so I'm going to put on this mask just because it's not hot enough. out here. All right, here we go. How's that look? Oh yeah, it's hot. Okay. Yeah, so a little tip for you. If you know you're gonna wear a mask in the afternoon, don't have onions in your salad for lunch. Okay, here we go. So I'm gonna do at least 3 flowers. And now I can use the stencil in either direction, which is fun. So I'm gonna start with one here. I'm gonna work kind of from the back, top to the bottom. And I'm gonna start with some cherry blossom, because it's the softest color. I sift it over my flower. When it's humid, it doesn't come out as well. And I'm doing a nice even coat over the entire flower. There we go, pour this back in the jar. And now I'm going to take some plum opal. And you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna get a smaller sifter. I don't have one over there. I have one over here. And the reason I'm doing that is because the smaller sifter, I can concentrate the color in a certain area, and that's what I want to do. Okay, put some plum opal in here, and here I want to sift on top of that little thing of the flower there, and I want to sift kind of in the middle of the flower to make the center darker than the outside. I encourage you to try to create a gradient when you're working with powder, frit, and stencils, because it makes the art so much more interesting. I'm going to take this off. Now I have more than one color here. I'm just going to dump that there. Oh, and can you see how pretty that is? Look at that. Now the colors will show better after it's been fired. All right, now I'm going to put one over here. I want this one to go this direction. Yeah, I think I do, like that. And I have to be really careful setting this down that I don't bump that one. So I'm going to set it right here. Very carefully put that down. Try not to shift it like I just did. All right, this time let's do the orange opal. Cover that whole flower. Now you want it to be thick enough to get good coverage, but not so thick that it blurs when you pull the stencil away. I'll put that away. I think I need more right here. It doesn't look as thick as it does everywhere else, so I'm going to go ahead and just put some of this thin little sifter, put that there. There we go. I think that feels better. All right, now I'm going to take this plum opal. That's our common denominator here. I'm going to go over the center of the flower and then over this area right here. Now sometimes you tap it with your finger, sometimes tap with your spoon. Sometimes you can run your spoon kind of up and down this thing. Do whatever works to get that frit to come out. You want to make sure you put it back in the right jar. I've done that. Put it back in the wrong jar. Lift that up carefully, dump. Cool. All right, now this one, I think I want it to go this way. And I'm going to put this one right here. Lay it down very carefully. And this one we're going to go plum opal for the whole flower. Oh, that's the wrong sifter, right? Let's use the bigger one, because we can. This one has something on it. There we go. That might make it work better if it doesn't have something stuck to it. Okay. Let's sift it. Now this should be the darkest color, the deepest flower color. So I did that on purpose. I did the one that's further away a little paler, and the one in the middle kind of two-tone, and this one a little darker. Now, these are all opal colors, which is good because they should show nicely on this white background. Oh, let's see, we want the smaller sifter this time. There we go. Now, opal colors will show up independently on top of each other, whereas if you use transparent colors, they'll mix like paint. So we purposely picked opal and powder. All right, now I'm going to grab a brush over here. I have a little bit of overspill right here, so I'm going to take this brush and move that off the art. One of the things I try, from my experience, I get the taste off, oh gosh. From my experience, I've never really had the success that I prefer or like with white or black frit. White is never strong enough for my taste, and black always looks fuzzy around the edge, and therefore you don't have really crisp line quality. So when I do these techniques, I generally avoid white and black with the powder, and I go for high contrast colors that are opal, so they'll show up the best they possibly can on that work. And look here, some of the top of this flower is on top of that one, which I think is really pretty. Now, do I want to add another flower? I don't think so. I think we're going to leave it like that. It might be fun to add some leaves. I'm not going to do that either. I'm just going to leave it as is. I'm going to take this piece of green. We'll put the white on top of it. We can move it very carefully. Now, as long as you don't tip this, the frit won't go anywhere. It'll just stay there. And when I do something like this with frit, I generally have my kiln ready and waiting for the artwork. And as soon as that's done, I put it in the artwork so nothing can happen to it. Somebody can't come in the studio and go, oh, what's that? Or a bug can't land on it, or you sneeze, or all of a sudden there's a breeze or something like that that would disrupt the pattern. I don't want that to happen. So I have my kiln ready to go. I'll put this in there, we'll fire it overnight, and then we'll see what we have. Welcome back to the studio. We have our hibiscus flower stencil project out of the kiln today. I want to share it with you, show you how beautiful it came out. Look at these awesome colors, very nice neutral kind of tones, which is really pretty. Got some nice gradients going on with that powder frit. I want you to notice this beautiful little green border. Remember what we did was cut the green base layer slightly larger than the white layer, and then you get this really nice edge quality on the art. If you cut this too big, like 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch, it'll shrink on you. But if you cut it just 1/4 inch big on each side, you get this beautiful extra detail around the outside edge. You get beautiful, very narrow, what might seem otherwise to be kind of a complicated and difficult border to cut. You get that, and you still retain your really nice edge quality and your nice rounded shoulders here. I want you to notice that the white is a wispy white, and so you see a little bit of the green through that. I think that's really pretty as opposed to a solid white. Also, we did this stencil first, and it was a plum opal powder. Now when I do a stencil like this, I try to use opal colors, and I try to use high contrast colors, and I generally will use a white background because all the colors will show well on that. If you use an off-white background, the colors kind of get a little, like the intensity gets kind of absorbed by that background color. If you put it on something like a blue or whatever, you're always going to have a little bit less intensity. Now, if that's what you're looking for, then that's absolutely fine. But I'm generally looking for high contrast, nice contrast colors. So this one first, it could have used a little more color in this area, I feel, but I'm still okay with it. Then we did, I believe, I don't remember which of the two we did next, but this one is yellow, and then it goes to the plum opal, but it has a nice gradient, transitioning from the yellow to the deeper color in the middle. And this one we did the opposite, the plum opal around the outside edge, and then the yellow in the middle. There's not as much color variation there. So one thing I've learned from this is when you're doing your stenciling to do your lighter color first, because you can always go darker, but it can be really difficult to go lighter once you've started. Also, I love these little details here at the top of the flower. Another thing I wanted to point out is that this flower has a little bit of a variation to the stencil design. It's because when I did one of these other two, I bumped that frit, and I ended up with a line in it. So when you put something in the kiln, you're going to get, it's going to come out whatever you put in. So if you're not satisfied with what you're putting in, redo it, because this could have been a little bit better had it had a better line quality around the outside edge. See, this one, the deeper color, has really nice definition to the shape, really nice line edge quality. That's because the stencil was cut with a really sharp razor blade, and because I used powder, and because I didn't overdo it, and because I had that nice deeper color. You can get this stencil pattern on my website for free, and on the pattern it shows all 3 flowers laid out like they are here, and then there's also a flower separate. So what you can do is cut out a single flower and do your own positioning, or you can cut it out as a single stencil with 3 flowers, and then you already have all the positioning there for you, all of it laid out. I want to point out that I use this grain horizontally on the white. You could use it vertically, you could use it diagonally. All those things affect the finished piece and make it a little different and a little bit more unique and a little bit more your own. So play with that a little bit. You could also do the white in strips. You could do it in squares. You could break that up if you didn't have a large enough piece of white. There's ways that you could still achieve this type of project, but add your own extra design elements to it that would make it really cool and unique. So I hope you enjoyed learning how to make this piece. I hope you have some stencils in mind that you'd like to use on your projects. And go ahead, download that hibiscus flower design. It's free right there for you all the time. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. We know you have other things you can do with your time, and we really appreciate you spending some of your time, some of your day here with us. We enjoy doing these videos for you. We know you're enjoying them because we're getting terrific comments, suggestions, feedback, likes, shares, more and more subscribers. So thank you so much. We do notice and we do appreciate that. Become a premium video member. We'd love to have you. New videos coming out all the time. Each video has a full-length course, step-by-step instruction, video instruction, plus a printable pattern ebook with the patterns, directions, firing guides, images, everything you need to complete those projects and have a wonderful time doing it. And a lot of the projects each teach you a different assembly technique. Maybe sometimes it's cutting, sometimes it's how to work with frit, sometimes it's how to work with design. All of these different things are covered in those videos, and there's over 30 of them. So the second you become a member, you get access to the entire library of courses. You're going to love it. So become a premium video member. And until next time, happy fusing.